So hi, this is my follow-up. This is my follow-up video to my Wednesday one I did. There's this person that commented something, which I'm not mad about the comment by the way. I actually really respect it. They they had some opinions about what I said, and I'd like to sort of talk about them. So the first thing they said was like Tyler's point of view of it, like that he was attracted to Wednesday because he was the Jekyll, and Christina Ricci's character sort of like kind of made him get close to her, to Wednesday, and I do agree with that. That is true. That Tyler's attraction to Wednesday was sort of only like a means to an end and kind of just a way to get close to her. But I would like to remind them that when I was talking about in the video, I wasn't talking about Tyler's feelings. I was talking about Wednesday's feelings. When I said it didn't make sense, I wasn't meaning it didn't make sense for Tyler's feelings. I just felt like it didn't make sense for Wednesday. Because I wasn't talking about Tyler. But what they said, that, that attraction was sort of a means to an end, I do agree with that. But it wasn't on Wednesday's part. And I was talking about Wednesday, not Tyler. So, and another thing they mentioned was that Wednesday is not a little girl anymore, and so her thoughts and feelings are going to be different. And I do agree with that. Yeah. But I'm just saying, like, as a teenage girl, I can definitely say my thoughts and feelings are different from when I was a little girl. I can say that. But I do feel like the relationships, especially between, the one that bothered me the most was between Wednesday and her mother. I do not really think that would change that much. Because in the show, it kind of, like, deteriorated way too much, I feel like. Because, I don't know, I just feel like they didn't have a relationship. It felt like they're very estranged. And I just feel like that didn't fit the character. And I know, again, she's a teenage girl. Her thoughts about things are very different from when she was like 8 years old or when she was 12 and things like that. I know that. Okay? But, I still feel like her relationship with her mother would have changed that much. Because the relationship was almost to the point where, like, she hated her. And in her relationship with the parents, she was very sort of disgusted by the relationship. Which, I don't know, that was weird to me because she always looked up to her parents' relationship. She wanted to be her parents' relationship when she ever did get into a relationship. She wanted to be her parents' relationship. So I understand she's a teenage girl and her thoughts and feelings are a whole lot different than, again, when she was like 8 or 12. But, I don't know, just some things I don't feel like would have changed that much. I feel like she still would have felt a connection to her mother, and she would have, not had as much, like, I don't know if resentment is the right word, but like, I don't know, annoyance maybe with her parents' relationship. So, and they talked about how it was closely related to the 60s. It was more closely related to the 60s one. Yes, maybe. I don't know. I feel like it really wasn't that close. It was because, again, Wednesday, always, even because Adam's Family was originally a comic. They did mention that too, but yeah, I knew that. It was originally a comic. And then in the 60s, it turned into a TV show. And but even in the 60s TV show, Wednesday had that connection with her mother. She had that connection. She had that connection with her parents. A connection they didn't show her having in the Wednesday series. Like, she just didn't click with them the way she did in the movies or the TV show. You know, like there just wasn't a click there. I don't feel like, because I admit I haven't watched that much of the '60s show, but I have watched some of it, and I vividly remember there being a connection of Wednesday, not necessarily looking up, but she loved her mom. It was very clear she loved her mom. She kind of looked up to her and all that stuff. And I feel like the Wednesday TV show just took that all away. And they didn't, and they said that Tim Burton doesn't scrap things. I completely disagree with that. And it's fine if you don't agree with my opinion. I will say that. It's fine. But I do think he does scrap them. And I even gave some examples of it. Like, especially with the relationship between Wednesday's parents and especially her mother. That is a very big thing he scrapped. Because in almost every, like, variation of it, Wednesday has this connection with her mother. And it's just, it kind of feels like, it's just not there. So, and I brought up some other things. He does, like, Alice in Wonderland. That's Alice's Adventure in Wonderland. That was my favorite book. It still is. I still love that book, okay? I've read it way too many times. I've read its sequel, Alice Through the Looking Glass, okay? I love that. I love them. But he definitely scrapped the story. Because in the original story, I'm assuming you may not have read the book, but you've watched the original Disney movie. But if you haven't, let me give you a rundown real quick. The original story, she was like a 10-year-old girl who got bored, was getting really bored, and she noticed a white rabbit. So she decided to follow it, and then she goes down a rabbit hole, and she ends up in Wonderland. And she one of the first people she meets is the Chester Cat, and it's a whole big, like, it's basically just about her adventure in Alice in Wonderland. In Wonderland. And she meets the Queen of Hearts and all that stuff, right? In Alice in Wonderland, in Tim Burton's Alice in Wonderland, it turned her into, like, she was an adult. I knew that because she got proposed to. She was an adult and and this guy proposed to her and she didn't like it, so she kind of just ran. And she ended up in Wonderland, and all the characters were different. He completely changed the story. Like, I'm not saying it's bad movies. I'm just saying it wasn't Alice, because he did scrap a lot of it. Because he completely changed the reason why she even went to Wonderland. Like, Wonderland, she had, in the original book and movie, I think it was the movie, she had a sister. She didn't in the Tim Burton ones. And, and Mad Hatter was, like, every character was fundamentally different. Like, the Duchess was just frenemies with the evil queen in the book. In Tim Burton's movies, he made them siblings, which I'm not hating on. I think that's I want to specify, I'm not hating on Tim Burton's rendition of it. I think it's very cool. It's just, I grew up reading the book, and he completely changed the story from the book. Like, he kept, in my opinion, he kept the characters' names, and that was basically it. Like, I mean, he kept the very outer shell. This girl named Alice, she goes running off, and she ends up in Wonderland, and she meets all these characters. He kept that the same. I will admit that. He kept that the same. But everyone else was different. Because, like, I don't know, he kept a very fundamental story. And changed everything else. Like, yeah, obviously, like, it was his rendition. He could do whatever he wanted with it. And obviously he did. But, I don't know, he didn't keep close to the story. He kept the skeleton of the story and then changed absolutely everything else. Which, in my personal opinion, I didn't like it. Because, he added things that weren't there. And he also, I keep saying I don't know a lot, but it just, like, he does scrap things. He does. He scraps the complete, like, history of the characters, you know? The evil queen was the evil queen. Not the evil queen. Queen of Hearts. The Queen of Hearts was just the Queen of Hearts. She had an attitude. She wasn't very well liked. She was very bossy. He did keep that. But he added a depth to her character, which I do like when they add depth to characters. But, then the Duchess, I mean, she was a character from the book, but he gave her he just kept her name, and that was it. At least that's my opinion, because she was very much like the evil queen. The way I describe it is evil queen, not the evil, oh my god, I keep saying the evil queen. The Queen of Hearts was aggressive, okay? The Duchess was passive aggressive about things she wanted. Okay. She was very passive aggressive with it. And he kind of turned her into, like, I'm not saying I'm hating on it. Anne Hathaway did an amazing job with the character she was given. And I really do like the Duchess in the movies. But that's not who the Duchess was. She's a very passive, aggressive girl. She had a frenemy thing going on with the evil queen. And she's very, I don't know, she's random. But I feel like everyone in Wonderland is random. Like, I don't know. And he changed her into like this, kind of like a Disney princess. And that's not who the evil queen was. Not the evil queen. Oh my god, that's not who the Duchess was. That wasn't who she was. And I don't know. And he put some things that were from like Looking Glass into there, like the chess pieces. That wasn't a Wonderland thing. That was in the Looking Glass thing. So, because in Tim Burton's, the Queen of Hearts was the Red Queen, and the Duchess was the White Queen. That wasn't a thing in the book, in the Alice in Wonderland book. That was a thing in Alice in Looking Glass. So he kind of, like, I get, I can kind of see your point when he said he doesn't really scrap things, but he does. He takes stories and he tries to push them into his style, and some stories just don't work in his style. Like Wednesday, that kind of works in his style. Like, I'm not hating on it. Wednesday series is not my favorite Wednesday adaptation, but do I like it? I do. I do like it. Because he put it in his narrative, and I think it fits. It fits there. But Alice in Wonderland did not fit into his narrative. He kind of tried, in my opinion, let me show this, in my opinion, he kind of tried to shove something that wasn't his style and didn't really belong there into his style. But that is my opinion. You can have your own opinion. Obviously you can, but I just don't think, I do think he does scrap things. I hope I have given enough evidence to support, at least my side of it. And, I really do appreciate the person who commented, because, honestly, I do think your opinion is valid. There are things in there that I definitely do agree with. I do agree about what you said about Tyler, about his main attraction because of Christina Ricci's character. I do agree with that. But as I mentioned earlier, I was talking about Wednesday's thing, and I still stand by that. I do not think her, romance with Tyler was necessary. I don't like it. To be fair, I do think the love triangle was just weird. I still think that, because that's not very Wednesday, okay? Like, yeah, I know she's a teenage girl, and teenage girls can get focused on romance. But I just don't think that was part of Wednesday's character. I still don't think that's part of Wednesday's character. I probably will never really think it's part of Wednesday's character to have this weird love triangle thing going on. But to say, again, I'm not hating on the TV series. I liked it. I really did. My favorite character was Enid. You know, the characters were well written. I just don't think that some of the things, I just disagree with what Tim Burton did with some of the characters. Because, again, Enid was a great character. I loved her so much. Ajax was pretty great, too. Eugene was amazing. Wednesday, I mean, I already explained, I don't like her relationship with her parents, especially her mother. The whole love triangle thing was weird to me. It's still, that's, again, this is my opinion. You can have your own. And, yeah, Tyler, I think Tyler's a great, interesting character and villain. And what you said about, the person he commented, what you said about it being like, he was only attracted to her because of this, I do agree with that. I'm not saying that's false. I'm just saying that wasn't the point of my video. My point was to talk about Wednesday's attraction to him, but you're right. Tyler's attraction was almost solely because it was a means to an end. But I wasn't talking about Tyler's attraction, if that makes sense. I was talking about Wednesday's attraction, how that didn't make sense to me. Now it made more sense, but I still don't there is reason, and I do get why there was attraction and stuff. I do, but I'm just saying I don't think the love triangle. It's more about the love triangle. I don't get it. Okay, and yeah. To be fair, that video was almost solely because I just love the character Joel. I know it was a completely different rendition. Tim Burton completely changed the story. And Joel's not an existing character in his universe. I get that. I'm just saying I miss Joel. Okay? I do. He was an amazing character. I love him so much. Oh, another thing they mentioned in there was that she was an outcast at school for outcasts. Yes, she is. And I'm not hating on that. I think that's really great because she was a weird girl who had trouble making friends, probably, because she's weird, socially awkward, and likes death. I do like the idea of putting her in a setting where that's more common, where she has more in common with people who are misunderstood because they're werewolves or they're sirens or they're vampires or whatever they are. I do like that. But again, that wasn't the point of my video. It started out as a thing of I just miss Joel as a character, and then kind of turned into not necessarily griping about Tim Burton, because I love Tim Burton. I really do. His movies are incredible. And again, Nightmare Before Christmas is one of my favorite movies. That's never going to change. Corpse Bride was amazing. I think he did Coraline too. Those are great. I love them. Frankenweenie, I love his movies. But yeah, it was just my thoughts and feelings about sort of what he did with these characters. That's all. Anyway, thank you for commenting. That one person actually does mean a lot to me that, because at least if you were going to disagree with me, at least you brought up great points. You brought an argument and it was really, really well written. And I do agree with some of those points. I do. So anyway, thank you for commenting. If you have any more questions or whatever, you guys can comment again, I guess. And, well, bye peeps.